Hi, everybody. Welcome to the April 8th, 2024 meeting of the Special Charter Review Committee. It is 5 p.m. We are at One Government Center in the hearing room. My name is Rena Brown. I'm the chairperson, and the open meeting law statement pursuant to the open meeting law. Any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any media. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. If you could join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If we could take attendance starting to my far right.
Jan Robillard.
Bob Machado.
Rena Brown.
Kathy Nemkovich.
Tim Campos.
Tracy Almeida.
And absent today, Laura Washington is ill, and John Mitchell and Mimi Larrabee have previous commitments. Moving on, any public comment? Seeing none, moving on. March 25th, 2024 minutes.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept, seconded by Kathy Nemkovich. Am I saying it right?
Nemkovich, yeah.
Madam Nemkovich. Dan Robillard, seconded by Kathy Nemkovich. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion aye. Motion passes unanimously. Discussion of the charter review draft and report. In your last emails, the clerk sent the special report to everybody. Did everybody have a chance to see that?
Yes.
Any comments? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Kathy to accept the report. My only comment is there'll be additional additions to it.
Right.
And
In that case, Madam Chair, do we
Do we-
accept this? Or
do we wait? I think we wait. You're right. I'm sorry. Can we backtrack?
Motion to
Could ex-
reconsider? Well, I don't know, we didn't even vote yet.
We didn't
Yeah.
vote.
No,
Yeah,
no.
so
Okay.
rewind the tape.
Motion
Withdrawn.
to table. That's good.
There we go. Seconded.
I'll second it.
And all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion to table the acceptance of the report because it still is an ongoing document. Motion made by Dan, seconded by Kathy, and unanimously approved. And then everybody should have received the most updated version of the charter. Prior to the meeting, our other clerk, Tim Campos, indicated he has his laptop with the Word document version of it, so he can go along, and if there's changes or something different that we need, he can do it contemporaneously.
The one we're referencing, though, is dated from when? To January?
April 2024 version. Your very last email from Paul, it was titled report, but the charter was also attached. I call it the April 2024
I
version.
think I have it. Okay.
Okay. I went through it earlier. I had a question. Section 2-3 prohibitions, B, interference with administration. If everybody could read it, is that the changed prohibition? Remember we had discussion about if they were having a conversation with them and said to a department head, hey, can you provide me a breakdown on the cost of the new bulldozer? Was that an order or, remember we had that discussion about if it's in the course of their business. Like if a city council member called a department head and said, can you give me, or can you email me a list of your employees? Is that an order or a directive that's in violation of that prohibition?
I don't think so. I think that's part of their due course of their elected position. I mean,
But we talked about putting some language in there that kind of referenced
Can you read, what does it read? What does 2-3B read now?
It reads, interference with administration, except for employees appointed in accordance with 2(8), which is subject to appropriation, the city council may employ staff as it deems necessary. The city council or any member of the city council shall not give orders or directions to any employee of the city, either publicly or privately.
The example you just gave, I think, is a request for information based on their elected position.
Right.
That's my opinion. There's two attorneys in the room. Hash it out. I mean, to me, I don't see that as a, if somebody said, hey, go down there and pick up Leo Pelletier's trash now, that's an order.
Right.
As a non-legal person, that's the difference I see. Whether you guys would agree, I don't have a Juris Doctorate, so, but.
Do we add something like, this does not include a request for information, or something like that?
I think wherever we can clarify that makes sense. So the last thing we wanna do is be vague, yeah.
Because that was the problem with the other charter, was kind of the vagueness.
I think you
Left
can
out for
also over-clarify and end up leaving out, if you don't name everything, you're gonna leave out something. Look, any document, I'm sure this document will end up being challenged somewhere down the road. Any document.
Right. I just don't think that it overqualifies it by adding something like, this does not include a request for information.
Or you could put like, request for information shall be deemed acceptable.
All right, I have in my notes, I don't know,
I don't know if we
maybe
talked
I'm,
about that.
I have create a new section, prohibition, to include language from 2-3, 3-1D, 4-3, and 4-7.
Right, because there's prohibitions in all of, there's one in there for the mayor, the city council, and the school committee. There is a prohibition section in all of those. The same language is in each one. It says you can't give orders or
Yeah,
directives.
so I had on my original document to remove that. I have created a new section, prohibition, to include language from all of those sections, 2-3, 3-1D.
Right, we
4-3.
can combine the prohibition into one section. Yeah, that was the discussion. We were gonna have one prohibition section that addressed mayor, city council, school committee, right?
With all the same language.
With all
Yeah.
the same language
Yeah,
as versus
yeah,
3.
Yeah. But that's not in the new one.
No,
We never voted on that, I don't think.
because we were still tossing around the language.
Did we ever come up with concrete language? I don't remember.
I think we did. I wrote it in on the last one.
We could have, I just don't recall if we did or not.
I gotta find my old charter with all my notes. I'm glad yours is handy. Hang on.
I didn't realize how helpful this was gonna ultimately be, keeping the notes on one draft. I keep referring back to.
Yeah, our last draft was January,
Yeah, that's the one I have all the notes on.
right, and here it is, Rena's notes on prohibition. We were also gonna reference the Code of Ethics, the Mass General Laws, Mass General Law 268A, Conduct of Public Officials and Employees. We were gonna add that to reference the guidelines on prohibitions.
Mass General Law referenced in the prohibition sections of the charter.
right,
And that was voted and approved on 129.
right.
And it said, take all three, move to section 9, one prohibition section for all.
Right. So is there a motion, or we can have more discussion, something like, what's our last, see, our last section is 10, but we could, in 9, section 9 is titled, Uniform Procedures Governing Multi-Member Bodies. I don't know, that's 9-7. What's the?
General provisions.
General provisions. So in Article 9, we were gonna add a prohibition section that was all encompassing,
920 is what we called it.
920.
Because these go through.
Yep, to 19. So 9-20 would be titled prohibitions, right? And would tentatively say, except for employees appointed in accordance with Article 2-8, the city council members, the school committee members, the mayor's office, or any member, well, the mayor's office has to give some orders and directives, right?
Is this coming from somewhere?
Yeah, my notes.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can type fast, but not that fast.
The problem with combining them is that 2.8 is specific to the city council. And the mayor obviously has different abilities to,
This says 2-3, 4-3, and 4-7.
Say that again,
Those are
say the numbers again.
2-3,
Yep,
4-3,
yep,
and 4-7, interference with administration.
yep.
So it didn't include the mayor.
It did
because
not-
Obviously, the mayor can
Right.
do those things, right? But, so it just included those 3 sections.
Right, because it was the
2-3,
city council,
4-7.
the school committee, right, 4-3. And 4-7 is,
What was it,
The-
2-3?
4-7 is a repeat of school committee for some reason.
It's an interference with administration, so it kind of goes a little further than 4-3.
Oh, I know what it is. 4-3 is about having a job. That would have to stay in. See, 4-3 says no former member of the school committee shall hold any compensated appointed city office or city employment until 1 year. We were keeping that, right? So it wouldn't be 4-3. It would just be 2-3 and 4-7.
I don't think it was a matter of keeping it, or I think it was a matter, if we're keeping it, putting it all into one section.
Well, we were gonna strike 2-3 and 4-7 and make it 9-20. And just put, the language would then be, except for employees appointed in accordance with Article 2-8, the city council, comma, the city council or any member of the city council, comma, and/or school committee shall not give orders or directions to any employee of the city, publicly or privately. That would be 9-20.
2-8 applies only to the city council.
I have,
Oh, see, my copy doesn't have 2-8. What does 2-8 say? Is that,
Subject to appropriation, the city council.
right, they're
reimburse that.
employees. Cause like they have a clerk, they have their own staff. That's why it exempts 2-8.
Okay, so it was 2-3, we're gonna,
well, 2-3 includes other city positions and interference with administration. But in section 4, they're broken up. Section 4-3 deals with the other city positions, and 4-7 deals with interference with administration. So the language and the structure is not repeated appropriately from section 2 to section 4.
Right, the city council, they put it both under the
Together.
same prohibition. For the school committee, they do 4.3 and 4.7.
Right, they broke it up for whatever reason, why not mimic the language?
So we would take 2.3, keep A, right? We would just keep A. We would strike B. And then we would keep 4.3, we would strike 4.7. And 9.20 would just be, they can't give orders or directives for the city council and the school committee. Follow me?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Hang 1 second.
okay,
1 second.
yeah, no problem.
So 2.3 has two sections regarding the city council. Holding other positions is A, B is interference. When you go to the school committee, 4.3 is holding any position, we're keeping it. 4.7 is the interference. Instead of doing 4.3 A and B, they did 4.3 and then 4.7.
And they don't seem all that related, so I don't know why they made them
Separate,
together in the first.
because that 40 grand that they spent, no, I'm only kidding, I don't wanna get Dan going.
Well,
For
what I'm saying
prohibitions?
is,
I have a feeling I'm gonna get going before the night's over.
it seems that there are 3 options here, and
Go ahead.
we tossed around some other options before.
Yeah.
And so the first option would be leave section 2.3 as it is and then mimic it in section 4, right? Have the holding other city positions as A and the interference with administration as B,
For city
replicated
council.
in.
And then
number
just
4.
strike 4.7.
Right, so
Yeah,
that's.
isn't that the easiest?
That seems like the easiest, that's option 1. The option number 2 that you just put forward would be.
Which is complicated.
Keeping the positions piece in for section 2 and section 4, and then just moving the interference with administration.
To 9.20.
To 9.20. What we discussed on 129 was taking both sections out of section 2 and section 4 and moving them both into 9.20 under A and B, like a 9.20A and B.
Yeah,
That's what my notes say anyway, so
Yeah.
that's 3 options.
3 options.
That we have before us.
I like the easier one.
I would
Yeah.
say keep it, I mean, we have
Yeah.
have an article for school committee. If you're
Yeah.
gonna have another prohibitions category, then, we can do that, and then whatever the, what is it, 2,
So keep,
Well, no, then we won't need
keep
it.
2.3 A and B,
Yep.
and then we
Then make
we strike 4.7,
and make
and we
it
make 4.3 A and B.
Yes, that's.
Is
it
the
would just be
simplest
for
version.
School committee versus city council.
Right. And then
Right.
there's no need to create section 9.20.
Right, because it would be in there. But in 2.3B and in 4.3B, we add the code of conduct from Mass General Law
Right, and that's referenced here too, that Mass General Law 268A should be referenced.
in
Both
those.
sections of the prohibition.
Right,
Okay,
sorry,
so-
Dan, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason the school committee is referenced differently is they follow a whole different set of procedures. The city council oversees the general budgetary purposes, budget issues and things within their jurisdiction for the whole city. The school committee is but one department. They follow their own code of conduct, they follow, there's a whole different set of procedures which our colleague Mimi Larrabee has a Bible for. It's totally different.
Yeah, but the language in the charter for the prohibitions is exactly the same. They just broke it up differently. We're not changing the language. The language for the city council on prohibitions and the language for the school committee in the charter are identical. And that code of ethics are identical for the city council as it is for the school committee, because they still have to adhere to Mass General Law 268A and all the other code of ethics established by the state. I know what you're saying about that, their procedures and ethics. They're different because the school committee deals with a lot of privacy issues as well. They can't just come out and talk in regular session that they do in executive. We're just talking about where they're positioned in here should be combined to make it user-friendly.
I yield.
they would be, folks that are interested in reading this document would be going into the sections to find the prohibition.
Right,
Right,
And that's where they should live,
I
and
agree.
it makes
Right.
sense to have A, so I would make a motion
Go
to
ahead.
accept A.
but, so, you wanna,
Can I?
put it,
Yeah, so before we do that, I just wanna, I've
Go,
got,
Billy.
I'm gonna mimic section 2, let me go back here. I'm going to mimic section 2.3.
Yes.
Prohibitions.
Yep.
In section 4.3,
yes,
but change the city council to school committee.
Yes, and subsume.
yeah, the
And-
lang,
And take out the
And then
reference
remove
to
4.7.
2.8, because that only applies to
The
the
school
city
com-
council.
it only applies, 2.8 only applies to the city
Yeah,
council,
we're not even talking about 2.8.
Yeah.
right, and we're striking 4.7,
Okay, so we struck 4.7, we're obviously not adding a 920.
right,
And then 2.8, we haven't talked about.
No, that applies to the city council.
Yeah, so
that
that's
applies
gonna
to the
stay,
city
right?
council, it has to
And
stay,
that's in the legislative branch
But-
section, so we
but-
don't need to touch it.
correct,
Isn't
Okay.
included in the school committee prohibitions, because as far as I know, they don't have any.
Right, so
It's
that can stay as
separate.
is.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Okay.
2.3 and 4.3 don't deal with 2.8 at all.
right. So 2.3 stays as it is, A and B, only adding to B a reference to Mass General Law,
We changed some of the language last time around too.
Yeah, if we wanna,
That's up to you.
we in 2.3b and in 4.3b, we would reference Mass General Law 268 Big A, conduct of public officials and employees.
what is it, conduct?
MGL, small c, 268 Big A, conduct of public officials and employees. How you reference it, so, you know, or abide by, or adhere to.
Is that laying out what they're prohibited from doing?
No,
Or
it's
why are we putting that in there?
because it doesn't reference it in the original charter in their mass general laws that govern how they're supposed to behave and act. And when somebody says, well, they can do that, or they can't do that, the charter is referencing what they can and can't by telling the reader, you know, before you make a big ruckus about that, go read 268A. Instead of writing 268A all out, it's like, you know how we reference the Declaration of Rights and the Massachusetts
Yeah,
dec-
okay.
instead of,
I got it.
yeah, and it'll be, you know what I mean? The reader will, or whoever wants to challenge a behavior, they'll know.
So do we just wanna put reference that and that's it? Or do you wanna say that the city councilors are to abide by and the school committee? How do you wanna word that?
We can't tell them they must abide by anything.
Yeah, it's,
Well, I think,
We're not a court.
except for employment interference. Interference administration, maybe this includes, any statutory requirements in MGL 268A or something like that. See, 268A has everything, like from taking bribes or, you know, or the same thing, or, you know, having a DPW worker come cut your lawn. I mean, it really does delineate. Remember the ethics class we took? That's kind of the stuff under 268A. So interference, this includes, I don't know, like,
When did we take an ethics class?
Before we started.
before we started this.
We did.
Online.
Oh, that's the, yeah, okay.
Paul, I mean, how do you add that in there? Is it like this includes any statutory regulations promulgated in
Well-
268A?
I'm looking at the notes from the last meeting, and I think that, I'm sorry, the January 29th meeting. And I think that what we've discussed today would probably require new motions and vote.
What did that say?
So, because we eliminated sections 4.7 and 2.3B. And I believe, based on the discussion, we're keeping those sections, making some changes.
Well, we're getting rid of 4.7, we're keeping 2.3A and B.
But I think, Tracy,
You're-
you were getting ready to make a motion, but we wanted
Oh,
clarity
yeah, I
on-
wanted to
Yeah.
clarify
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
were doing with those sections, because if we remove 4.7, which is fine, then we're gonna have to either renumerate 4.8 to 4.7.
No, it becomes
we're gonna-
4.3B.
No,
No,
we're
but if we
removing a
take it out
section,
of
4.7, that means there will be
the
no
rest of the-
4.7.
Yeah,
So that moves everything up.
What, you
So-
changed, you just changed the numbers.
yeah.
Well, we can either say that 4.8, we're gonna have to say 4.8 is now 4.7, or we're gonna leave 4.7 as intentionally omitted.
4.8 doesn't have anything to do with them, though.
No, I
No,
understand.
but we're
Oh, the
taking-
number.
Yes,
So-
there's gonna be a section that is no longer, so
It's gonna
that,
go from 4.6 to 4.8.
So
yeah.
just make section 4.8, section 4.7.
We can, it just
It's
will
But we'd have to
last
be by
one.
motion, it's not a clerical thing?
no,
Oh, okay.
no.
I
don't
thought it
think
was
so.
clerical.
No, it's just, do we wanna do that, or do we
Alright.
wanna leave it as intentionally omitted?
But what Paul's saying is, we made a motion, and it passed, that we eliminated 2.3B and 4.7.
Yeah.
So the first motion has to be to reinstitute 2.3B,
Correct.
right? And leave that motion from January at eliminating 4.7 as it's written, and making 4.7, 4.8 language, right?
Yeah,
So I make a motion to reinstate 2.3B
Mm-hmm,
with a reference to 268A.
mm-hmm.
And do we, I'll
Stop there,
stop there.
okay. A motion is
That's a
made,
motion. Second.
made by Paul, seconded by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. So 2.3, A is fine, B
is back.
Is
adds a
that-
reference
Yeah,
to 268A. I think the language that this includes the statutory framework promulgated in Mass General Law, Chapter 268A. Does that sound like it has to be in a sentence, not just, hey, reference. It has to be in a sentence, why is it there? And all I'm saying is that it can be after publicly or privately,
All actions shall comply with the
Nice.
requirements of General Laws, Chapter
Yeah.
268A.
there you go. There's a motion to add all actions, say it again?
I forgot.
All actions shall comply with Mass General Law 268A, conduct of public officials and employees.
there you go.
Yes.
Alright,
Good
There's a
job.
motion to add on 2-3B, the sentence, all actions shall comply with Mass General Law 268A.
and we're also gonna make a motion to add that to.
We'll,
Can we do one motion at a time?
we'll do it one at a time.
Okay.
So there's a motion,
Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
So a motion is made that the sentence be added, all actions shall comply with Mass General Law 268, Code of Conduct, what's the name? The official title of that
Conduct
is
of public officials. and
Conduct of
employees.
Public Officials and Employees. Has been made by Rena, seconded by Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Now, there's another motion to add to section 4.3 as it stands, to make that A, and then section B
Will be the language.
will be the language except for Article 2-8. So section 4.3B, there's a motion that the language in 4.3B, interference with administration, because right now, 4.3B, the title of it, the A should be holding other city positions, right? And then there's a motion for B to be interference with administration, and it would read, the school committee or any member thereof shall not give orders or directions to any employee of the school department appointed by the superintendent either publicly or privately, all actions shall comply with MGL 268A.
So this motion only refers to the school committee? right?
Correct.
Okay.
There's a motion to make 4.3B read, "The school committee or any member thereof shall not give orders or directions to any employee of the school department appointed by the superintendent either publicly or privately, period. All actions shall comply with MGL 268A." Made by Rena. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So now 4.7 has an A that reads holding other city positions.
No,
Yes.
4-3.
4.3 prohibitions. A reads holding other city positions, and B is interference with administration. Okay, and that motion passes. And then there is a motion previously voted on and passed that we strike 4.7. Do you think we need to do that again by its own motion?
That would be easy.
Cleaner?
So I'd make a motion to strike the current 4.7 and replace filling of vacancies as the new 4.7.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All the motions are passed unanimously, so
All right.
far today,
So 8 is out, and 4.8 is 4.7,
I think.
and there's no more 4.8, gone. And 4.3 is A and B. All righty. All right, thank you.
I feel like we were productive.
Are you,
Hang on,
are you talking about the?
I'm talking to myself.
The conflict of
Uh-oh,
conflict training?
I just did something to
We have
my,
to do- Yeah. You have to do that if you're on a board too.
something happened to my charter here. Where's the front of it? Oh, here it is, all right. That was one of my questions. The other thing was, on section 211, filling of vacancies, if a vacancy shall occur on the city council, vacancy filled, descending order, votes received, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to the second sentence. The candidate will have 72 hours to decide. Did we change that number?
No.
Or did we kept it 72?
We
No,
kept
we-
it- We
We-
voted to
To,
make it 72.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
It didn't have a number
Okay,
before.
it was a question I had, I wasn't sure. And then I'll go down the line, and then I'll shut up. I'll go through where I made notes. And then I promise, I won't say another word. I put question marks where I had a question. On section 9-5, periodic review of ordinances. No later than August 1st at 5-year intervals, in each year ending in a 3 and an 8. Did we ever even, did we change that? Because here's my issue, when they do stuff like that, it's so confusing. Why can't it just say every 5 years or something? I didn't understand, no later than August 1st at 5-year intervals, in each year ending in 3 and 8.
It could be that they did that because people might not know where it starts, like where does the 5-year mark start? So by identifying the years, then it can't be misconstrued when that 5 year starts and ends.
So, in 2023, they would have supposed to have done it, and then again, 5 years later in 2028,
Right.
and then 5 years later in 2023,
Right.
5 years later in
I think
38.
2038,
clear.
thank you.
I agree with you at 5 years, every 5 years sounds better, but when you think about it, and you got a whole new cast of people coming in.
Okay.
Where does the 5 years start and end? Then you
Okay.
dig into documents where this clearly outlines what years it is.
Okay, all righty. It was just kind of a, and then the second paragraph, when we went through the whole charter, we made it a point, this review shall be made by a special committee to consist of 7 members. all of whom should be voters in the city. Remember how we changed it to, like, city resident voters, like, we changed it, because remember it was like, oh, they can be voters from everywhere, and this says voters in the city, shouldn't it say that reside in the city?
You can't vote in the city if you don't reside in the city.
Well, what if I'm a, I don't know, I just know that in other sections,
So why
we
don't
cleared,
change it to residents and city voters,
What section is this?
9.5.
Yeah,
second paragraph.
second paragraph.
It just says, all of whom shall be voters in the city.
All of
Mem-
whom shall be city residents and registered voters.
Right, that's what I wanted to say, because we made it a point to change it when we were talking about, qualifying for elected office. Remember, it just said any voter could run, and we made it a point to add, city resident, registered voter. So if we could just make that change there too.
Yep.
So I make a motion that it say, what is it gonna say
City
again?
residents
And,
and registered voters.
right,
So this would be, this review shall be made by a special committee to consist of 7 members, all of whom shall be city residents and registered voters in the city.
correct. That's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
So,
Oh.
1 second.
Okay.
So, that means in order to sit on a board or commission or some special committee, which this would be, as I take it,
This is just the ordinance committee.
to review the ordinances, right? You're saying that in order, maybe I'm going too technical, but I look at that as a special committee or a board or commission, you're saying that you would have to be a registered voter to sit on a committee like that?
Yes. That's what it says. Now, I just want to clarify the language that they are city residents and registered voters.
Because it reads now, all of whom shall be voters in the city.
Because we changed the language, I'll show you where we changed it. When we were reviewing,
So
what qualifications,
why should you have to be a registered voter in order to sit on that committee is my question.
Well, if that's already in here, that language was in here.
That doesn't mean I voted for it.
I like it being registered voters that
Yeah.
are city residents.
I make a motion to keep the phrase, city resident and registered voter.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No,
All opposed? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, 1 opposed, motion passes.
And to
And
confirm,
then-
it'll say all of whom shall be residents and registered voters in the city.
Yes.
Okay.
Hang on. Special committee.
that's for that special review of the ordinances, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which they started when the first charter commission was still going through its stuff.
So I had section 9.6,
I don't think they met.
periodic review of the charter. The problem with this is this special charter committee was not selected by this time frame. We did not even get appointed until 6 months after that May date,
But
Right.
we should have been appointed by that time.
by that time frame.
We just see it
So,
comes up, from what I understand.
Right, and so I certainly think there should be a time frame, but, do we fix this to, I don't know, do we make it more vague? Do we give them more time? Should you give them Leroy? I don't know.
Well, what happened when they violated the provisions with this committee? Nothing.
Right, if there's going to be some teeth, who's going to be the enforcer?
No, but I mean,
Right.
it's,
And if you say within 2023, as the charter reads, we did get appointed within
yeah, just 6 months later.
17.
Because the report was supposed to
22.
be submitted by August, 11 months later. I mean, so it said no later than May 1st, in the 5th year following this, we were not. We came in January, right, was our first meeting,
January 23.
which means that, right,
20.
June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, we were 8 months later, 8 months that this already should have been done, which means we can't comply with the, and then it says, file its report with the city clerk no later than August 1st in the year following. So we might be able
So
to
this
comply with
This
that.
process is supposed to must conclude by August 1st to be in compliance.
Correct, and it's supposed to be on the agenda before August 15th in this year. So I think time-wise, we're still okay. I'm just like, so if we were supposed to be appointed in May of 2022, we should have had the report in by August of 2023. We didn't get appointed till January of 2023. Our report is going in, but by the charter, in August of 2024. Because it's the following year, right? The committee shall no later than the August 1st of the following year. So we'll be in compliance, but we're not in compliance with the charter right now. But not our fault. Are you following me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't appoint ourselves.
So why does that
I don't
say
know.
that we should change this language?
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
In the future, there should be a review every 5 years.
Right.
And this describes what that review is, and hopefully
Yeah.
it'll be in compliance.
What
I'm
happened
I'm
with
just
us
like,
is-
maybe not by May 1st. I mean, if a mayor takes office in January,
You have to,
Well, there's
you have to
also-
remember too, though, that language was based on the passage of the original charter in November of 2017.
so isn't it just easier every 5 years and leave out this May, August thing?
Well, it gives some structure. And there's also
Okay.
going to be, the difference is there's going to be an ordinance, a charter committee,
Right.
and they can certainly send a reminder that, hey, you need to start appointing the special charter committee people.
All right, so just leave it.
I would
And
suggest
hopefully in the
leave it,
future,
and they
it
just
becomes
comply
comply
in
with
the
it.
future.
All right. And then, here's my last question. Enforcement, section 914, enforcement of the charter provisions. We were gonna fix that.
So far, we have a 3-member committee, right?
Yeah, but it didn't make it in here because we didn't make a motion. We talked about having a 3-member grievance committee, right?
We didn't even motion to put the 3.
We didn't, because we were gonna, think about it and come back with language.
I know there was gonna be language as to some possible penalties, but
Right.
I thought we created the committee itself.
Yeah, because here's my problem with this. Looking at how things happened in the city before, one of my issues was I thought the mayor himself was violating the charter. And the first line is, "It shall be to the duty of the mayor to see that the charter is faithfully followed and that all city agencies and city employees comply with it." I don't think it's just up to the mayor. I
Well,
think
No,
every,
I have a
you know.
no. Yeah, we said the mayor and all elected officials.
But
Okay, did we pass that by motion?
I don't think so. That's the notes I have written on mine. I don't know,
Right.
Tracy,
But
if you
the
have.
mayor is the chief executive officer, responsible for the entire running and elected as such of the entire city.
No, I know that, but the President of the United States doesn't file every civil rights violation when somebody violates the Constitution. Any elected official, any citizen, people can move forward. Yeah, I have the same note that we were gonna add "and all elected officials." I think it's up to all elected officials to make sure that the charter is faithfully followed. We certainly discussed a charter grievance committee that any resident can file a complaint alleging it.
Well, that
But I
we
think we
voted
should
on.
add
Yeah.
that any elected official should also make sure that we're abiding by the charter. I mean, the city council itself, when it started screaming for the superintendent to come down, I thought was kind of a charter violation.
Looking back at our minutes, I believe that we did vote to establish
We
a
did.
charter grievance committee.
We
May
But I
15th.
don't think we defined it further
Okay.
than that.
Here, we just said
Do you
that-
know if we added "and all elected officials" after the mayor in that first sentence?
I don't think
See, my notes
I don't have
have,
that. I just have that we established, May 15th, we voted unanimously to establish a charter grievance committee. That committee would hear grievances and file a report on any alleged violations.
right. My notes from that have, on the section 914, I put, we need updating and we need new words, and I knew that that meant that. But we never took a vote on adding all elected officials. So I make a motion that after mayor, that we add "and all elected officials." That's my motion right now.
I'll second that.
I'm gonna,
Yeah, we can talk.
why wouldn't we? Oh, okay, it does say city employees have to comply too.
Yes, Dan, go ahead.
If you look at, if you have heard the oath of elected officials, it says that they have to uphold the Constitution, the ordinances of the city of Fall River. To me, that would include the charter. So I don't think that language is needed in there because it's in their oath.
I do.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it needs to be in there because that is precisely the problem with this charter. It makes it sound like it's just the duty of the mayor, and they take an oath, but if it's in the charter, it's all their
The
duties.
mayor takes the same oath.
Right. And he's the only one mentioned. So the motion is to add "and all elected
Okay,
officials,"
but-
just after mayor.
But then what do you do if in the next sentence where it says, whenever it appears to the mayor that a city agency or city employee, so you're saying it's their duty, so I think throughout that paragraph then, do you need to add that wherever it states mayor? Because then you're saying whenever it appears to the
Yeah.
mayor,
Or any elected
Yes,
official.
or any
Yeah.
elected official, I think so then it would be, and whenever it appears to the mayor or any other elected official that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, the mayor or any elected official shall in writing cause notice to be given to such city agency or city employee directing compliance with the charter. If it shall appear to the city council that the mayor is not personally following the charter, the city council shall, by resolution, direct the attention of the mayor to those areas that they believes there's a failure to comply. The procedures made available in 231A of the general laws, that should be Mass General Laws, may be used to determine the rights, duties, status, or other legal relations arising under this charter, including any question of construction or validity which may be involved in such determination. And I mean, we're talking about, adding a charter grievance committee. This might just be A, and then B will be that, or we create a new section with the charter.
One issue
Yeah.
with this provision, it says the mayor shall give written notice if he believes the charter is violated.
Mm-hmm.
If you include "and any other city employee," that means a city councilor could give notice to someone in the park department. I think that the procedure should be
Right.
that another city elected official gives the mayor
The notice,
of what they perceive to be the violation.
I was gonna
Right.
make that same point, Paul, I think that's.
yeah.
That I can go along with.
yeah.
Because it needs to be it needs to be streamlined to one person, that reporting structure should be going to one person. or
Right,
else-
to the mayor.
Right,
So then it shall be the duty of the mayor or any other elected official to see that the charter is faithfully followed and that all city agencies and city employees comply with it. Whenever it appears to the mayor that
Or-
a city agency, well,
No, there you could put wherever it appears to the mayor or and any other elected official is that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter,
just the mayor gives the notice, right?
Just the
Is
mayor.
what you're saying,
Yes.
The written
right?
notice- The written notice should come from the mayor.
Just
each
from the
time.
mayor,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So whenever it,
Except when it's the city council saying that the mayor's
Correct.
not following the
but,
charter.
and you know what they do too, though? They give a procedure. They have to do a resolution. So they gotta get together, we're gonna send notice to the mayor he's not following the charter. Cause that
Yeah.
third sentence does that. So the first one could read, "It shall be the duty of the mayor or any elected official to see that the charter is faithfully followed and that all city agencies and city employees comply. Whenever it appears to the mayor,
Can I just stop you there,
Yeah.
Rainey? Can we leave it, though? I don't think in that first sentence, it should be the mayor or, it should be the mayor and all elected officials.
right, I'm sorry, did I say
Right,
or? I meant
yeah.
and.
So it shall be the duty of the mayor and all elected officials to see, but then the second sentence should be whenever it appears to the mayor or any
official.
other elected official. Then I think then the rest is okay. The mayor shall in writing.
It should be, notice should be provided to the mayor, and the mayor sends it in writing. That second sentence needs to be two separate sentences. Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah,
So it shall be the duty of the mayor and any elected officials to see that the charter is faithfully followed and that all city agencies and cities comply. Whenever it appears to the mayor or any elected official that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow the charter, the mayor should be notified, period.
Shall be
And the mayor shall in writing cause notice to be given, right?
Yeah,
It's two sentences,
so it clearly delineates the reporting structure.
right. Elected officials and the mayor. The elected officials let the mayor know. The mayor is the only one that sends something in writing.
Right.
Right?
Okay, so I have, whenever it appears to the mayor or any elected official that a city agency or a city employee is failing to follow this charter, the mayor shall be notified in writing.
Period. In writing, right?
The mayor shall in writing cause notice to be given to such city agency or city employee directing compliance with the charter.
Correct. That's the
Okay,
motion.
that doesn't sound right, though. You're telling the mayor to notify the mayor in writing.
No, it's
No.
this comma's there.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, whenever it appears to, read that again, Tim?
Whenever it appears to the mayor or any elected official that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, comma, the mayor shall be notified in writing,
Period.
period.
No comma in between shall and in writing. It
Yeah,
just
but-
means that the city official, if they become aware of it, lets the mayor know in writing.
But we're saying whenever it appears to the mayor,
Or an elected
right,
official.
the mayor shall in writing.
No, we're adding notify the mayor in writing.
Yeah, but if it's the mayor, he has to notify himself.
There's a
You know what
new
I'm
one.
saying? Like,
There's
should
another
we-
one down there
There's
that
another-
talks about the city council.
Suppose it's the mayor causing the alleged violation.
There's a sentence.
No, but-
If it appears to the city council, the mayor's not following it, the city council shall by resolution. It's a different procedure to
Yeah,
put
but
the
we're
mayor on
saying
notice.
Whenever it appears, okay, take out, the way we're changing, whenever it appears to the mayor
Or
an
elected official.
official that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, then what do we say?
The mayor shall be notified in
Okay,
writing.
so whenever it appears to the mayor, we're saying the mayor shall be notified.
If the city council thinks somebody's violating charter, they send notice to the mayor. And it's only
Well,
the
that's what I'm saying. I
mayor
think
that
it
puts
should
them
be
on
Two
writing.
separate sentences, though, we should say, whenever
We are
it
making it
appears.
two separate sentences. The first sentence is gonna be, it shall be the duty of the mayor and any elected official to see that the charter is faithfully followed and that all city agencies and city employees comply with its provisions.
Right,
Period.
right, that part I got.
Whenever it appears to the mayor or an elected official that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, the mayor shall be notified in writing, period. The mayor then shall in writing cause notice to be given to such city or city employee directing compliance with the charter.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, like grammatically, but
We're just saying, whenever it
It's kind of
appears to the
implied.
mayor, that he has to submit to the mayor in writing. That's what
No.
I'm saying, could we just say, whenever it appears to the mayor that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, the mayor shall in writing cause no, leave that sentence as is, but then add a sentence that says, whenever it appears to an elected official that a city agency, he shall notify the mayor in writing, and the mayor shall submit it. I mean,
But then where does it go from there?
well, then that, then
We're
the rest of
making
it
two
stays as is.
sentences, because we only want the mayor to give notice to the person. Whenever it appears to the mayor or an elected official that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, the mayor shall be noticed. I know,
I mean,
oh, I hear what you're saying.
it doesn't really, so yeah, but at the same time, even if the mayor were to write something to himself or herself, it's really not, I don't know if it
Okay,
changes.
then leave it.
No, I just don't know if we need to add,
And then what happens once the mayor gives the notice, like,
We're gonna do the grievance committee and the penalties, but,
Why don't we, at the,
this is already in the oath of every elected official.
what I would suggest maybe is a final sentence in this section before we get to the grievance committee, is that all notices of violations shall be public records maintained by the city clerk.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
okay, let's,
That's a motion.
Well, wait a minute, we are still on these first sentences.
you know,
So there's a motion to add "and elected officials" after the first sentence in the mayor. And that motion has been seconded. Any further discussion about adding "and all elected officials" after mayor in the first sentence?
Nope.
All in favor?
add any or add all?
Add, it shall be the duty of the mayor and all elected officials. All right, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
No,
Kathy? We're just talking about the first sentence,
Yeah,
we're
I'm
just
in
adding,
favor.
the
I'm
motion
in
is just
favor.
Yeah, she
the
said
duty
that.
of the mayor and all elected
Yeah.
officials. Tracy?
Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor, 1 opposed. So, motion passes. First sentence is gonna read, "It shall be the duty of the mayor and all elected officials to see that the charter is faithfully followed and that all city agencies and city employees comply with the provisions," period. How about if we just put "whenever it appears" that a
Yeah, why
city
can't we say
agency or
whenever it
city
appears,
employee,
take out "to the mayor"? Just
Yeah.
say, whenever it appears that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this
The
charter,
mayor shall be
the
notified.
mayor
in writing.
the
shall-
mayor shall be notified in writing.
How about this, the mayor, or if notified, or if,
Whenever it appears that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, the mayor shall be notified in writing, period.
Yeah, that's enough.
yeah,
Right, there's a motion on the table for the second sentence to read, "Whenever it appears that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, the mayor shall be notified in writing, period." Motion made.
yep,
Second,
Seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? All in favor?
aye.
aye.
Dan?
aye.
Motion passes unanimously that the second sentence reads, "Whenever it appears that a city agency or city employee is failing to follow this charter, the mayor shall be notified in writing." All right?
Yep,
Okay. Third sentence.
But, Madam Chair, one quick question.
Yeah.
Who notifies the mayor though?
Whoever thinks that somebody's violating
So
it.
anybody can.
any
make an
elected,
allegation.
any elected official.
Well, we're gonna let, no, but anybody can file an alleged charter violation. Anybody that lives in Fall River should be able to make a charter violation complaint.
Okay.
But those are gonna go to the charter grievance.
Yes, yes.
committee, Not directly to the mayor.
Right,
So, and then the mayor shall in writing cause notice to be given to each city agency or city employee directing compliance with the charter. That's the third sentence. So the motion is that the third sentence shall read, "The mayor shall provide written notice to such city agency or city employee directing compliance. Right? Or some version of that.
Yeah,
For the third sentence.
Yeah.
Say it back.
the mayor shall in writing
Cause
cause
notice.
notice to be given to such city agency or city employee directing compliance with the charter.
Period. That's a motion, right?
Second,
Yeah.
Dan seconds it. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously for the third sentence to read.
The mayor shall in writing cause notice to be given to such city agency or city employee directing compliance with the charter.
Okay. And then the fourth sentence stays.
Yep.
The fifth sentence stays.
We're
Can
adding
I just,
mass.
I had a note on the fourth sentence, and I'm finally, it just says, if it shall appear to the city council that the mayor, we had changed it to, is not adhering to the charter.
Oh, instead of following, yeah.
Well, it did say that the mayor personally is not following the charter, and I think, I have a note that we changed it to, that the mayor is not adhering to the charter.
Is that a motion?
I guess, I don't know why, I
It's the
can't
same.
remember. how to
It's a change
it.
of one
I
word.
don't have that one.
No, we're taking out personally not following and replacing
Yeah.
with it is not adhering to.
It sounds a little bit more professional, I think.
I
than
think so,
personally
too.
not following.
If it shall appear to the city council that the mayor is not adhering to the charter.
Yes. Second. Any further discussion? That the fourth sentence shall read, if it shall appear to the city council that the mayor is not adhering to the charter, the city council by resolution direct the attention of the mayor to those areas in which it believes there's a failure to comply. Motion made by Kathy, seconded by Rena. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Oh, can you,
For the fourth sentence to read,
sorry.
if it shall, okay, do I have to read it again, or
I-
does everybody know?
I mean, I'll read it.
Wanna read it?
Yeah. If it shall appear to the city council that the mayor is not adhering to the charter, the city council shall, by resolution, direct the attention of the mayor to those areas in which it believes there is a failure to comply with the charter.
Period, okay.
Period.
Mr. Machado, would you restate your motion about the city clerk?
Wait a minute, just one second, just 1 second. The procedure made by those areas in which it believes there's a failure to comply with the charter, that's all. The procedures made available in chapter 231A of the Mass General Laws. I think it should say the Mass General Laws. It just says general laws. May be used to determine the rights, duties, status, or other legal relations arising under this charter, including any question of construction or validity which may be involved in such determination. I thought that that sentence should be incorporated in the grievance one. Or does it stay there? Like enforcement, we just discussed it, we decided who and how, right? Then wouldn't the next section be the Charter Grievance Committee? And then that sentence lays out the procedures, the membership, and how they do it.
Okay.
I just thought that the procedure part would go in that section with the Charter Grievance Committee, and then the part with, and then that ends with all grievances and complaints are public record maintained with the clerk, right? Are you following me?
You had a separate.
I don't know,
motion,
what
right?
section are we
Well,
talking about?
so this is titled Enforcement of Charter Provisions.
I
The
like
first four sentences just talk about enforcement, right?
Yes.
Now we're moved to the discussion of the Charter Grievance Committee, right? And the very last sentence is talking about the procedures. I just thought that that sentence goes into the Charter Grievance Committee because the Charter Grievance Committee is really all about the procedure, right?
So,
And that
So take
starts
the
out,
last sentence of the first paragraph.
it would be small b, right?
914, the current provision that we just talked about, that would be 914A.
A, yes.
Oh, we're gonna make an A and a B. Got it.
Yeah. Yes.
A, B, and a C.
Oh,
B
okay.
is gonna be the discussion of the grievance committee. And C, we move down the procedures made available,
Would go to C.
would go to C. That would be my suggestion.
Okay.
What was you?
So that the procedures of General Laws, Chapter 231A, would apply to both the administration reviewing charter as well as the
The grievance committee.
grievance committee.
See, the last sentence talks about the procedures made available in chapter 231A of the Mass General Laws. We're talking about procedures now, but we're gonna go to the grievance committee, and we've closed with these procedures. This above stuff, the procedures, and that's our closing section.
So we wanna move that to section
C.
C?
I have a note too, and did we put it in here about the terms of office for the grievance committee?
We haven't done anything with the grievance committee. The proposal is to make, what we just talked about is small a. Small b, charter grievance committee. Put it all in there. B is that sentence. The procedures made available is C, because it closes out the enforcement and the charter grievance.
You know, we could also do a D, which would be making all grievances, charter grievances,
Public records.
So I make a motion that we include D, that all charter grievances
Become public record.
become public records maintained by the city clerk.
Second,
Any further discussion, making small d the grievance sentence, public records? All in favor?
I,
Motion passes unanimously. That small d is gonna be, read it?
All charter grievances will become public record maintained by the city clerk.
Thank you.
and once they're public record, some member of the public could access that.
Well, and not only that, I think it keeps it from frivolous stuff too, you know, because if you're gonna file a complaint, your name and address has to be on there, and if you start being crazy with stuff.
Right, you're gonna be exposed.
Right, exactly. Anyway, so B, small b, can we have some language for our charter grievance committee?
Well, right now, it's in order to promote enforcement, right? A three-member grievance.
Small a is, small, 914 small a is the stuff we've just done,
All we said
except for
was-
the last sentence.
Right.
All we
So-
said so far was a three-member committee, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, we have
need-
here one member, no, we have
We
where they're
didn't vote
coming
on it,
from.
though. We didn't vote on any of that. So we need the language. How about some proposed language?
So wait, what's in here we didn't vote on?
No, we did not vote by motion any final charter grievance committee. And I need a sentence for
How
small
about-
b.
How about in order to promote enforcement of the charter provisions, a three-member grievance committee shall be established. One member of this.
Wait a minute, I'm not writing that fast. In order to promote, go
But
ahead.
it's in the thing,
Where is it?
section 914, the paragraph.
There's not a grievance committee in the current charter.
What am I looking at?
I don't know.
I can-
So in order to promote,
I have it as the second paragraph in section 914.
We probably discussed it, but we never,
I don't have that,
I don't have it either.
so you have a
There's
special
nothing in the
copy.
code.
You have a
I
special,
have the language here and
It looks like
everything.
all right, so read it slowly.
In order to promote enforcement of the charter provisions.
Wait a minute, enforcement of the charter
I can type it too if you want.
provisions, go ahead.
A three-member grievance committee shall be established.
Nice.
How do I, am the only
I
one
don't
that
keep
has
going.
this? One member of this committee shall be appointed by the mayor,
Yep,
one by the city council,
yep,
and one
Wait
by
a
the,
minute.
and one by the school committee.
nice. Keep, this is a motion, by the way.
Can we keep that?
Do you
as
have
Is
it?
that,
one
no, but
motion?
is that the same, so there's one down in sec 915 similar to that, right? The review shall be made by special, so,
No,
That's for,
915 is
that's
a
for,
rule.
Yeah, I'm
that's
just-
nothing to do with this.
okay, so.
Yeah. So do you have the,
I don't have that, so let's, one member, if you could go slowly.
sure,
please.
one member of this committee shall be appointed by the mayor.
Yeah.
One by the city council. And one by the school committee.
Keep going.
And then, so this is what's in here, and then there's.
No,
also
you know what
next-
you have? I'm gonna tell you what you have.
I don't know what I have.
This,
We should
'Cause look at
Jeez.
it, it's even in here.
That establishes.
This was the
committee
one I
right there.
printed.
Jeez, I didn't get that in mine either.
Special copy.
I thought maybe that was one of the public comments.
And then at each
Right.
meeting, so then it says, at each meeting, there will be an opportunity for public comment.
Oh, all right, wait 1 second, I just wanna interrupt once, can we add that they, they have to be registered, residents, registered voters and residents of Fall River? I don't want somebody from Somerset coming over here and
Yeah, no,
filing a
that's a
charter
good- right.
violation.
Well,
Not that I don't
Can
like,
just
char-
say
I
we
like
could add-
Somerset.
Like, finish this, but then let's
Yeah.
add it, because I think the other thing we said was missing was that, the terms of office. So we could say they need to be city residents and serve the term of office of whatever. So then the last sentence I had, at each meeting, there will be an opportunity for public comment, and the committee will produce a written report concerning each alleged charter violation. And then I had a note, it's not in copy, add language around meeting within 7 to 14 days.
I have that same.
And then I also had terms of office.
Terms of office.
Oh, wait a minute, that's from the January charter. You're reading from the January charter. In order to promote and enforce, yeah.
So did we take it out of the April one?
No, what happened was that when I redid the charter, I lost,
Oh, okay.
I lost the,
I found it.
you found it. I had a
Okay.
problem with the document.
Yeah.
All right, so small b. And so, small b, there's a motion to start it out with, in order to promote enforcement of the charter provisions, a 3-member grievance committee shall be established. 1 member of the committee shall be appointed by the mayor, 1 by the council, 1 by the school committee. All members shall be registered voters and residents of the city,
Yes. And shall serve for a term of,
2 years. Right, it goes in and out with the elections, right? For a 2-year term. Right?
Members shall serve for a 2-year term.
Yeah.
Why are we putting a term of office in?
You want the same grievance people sitting there for 100?
I'm just.
No, I know, I don't know how long, I just said 2 because of how the term limits that we have in there for everybody else. We can go long, I mean, it doesn't matter to me, I just did it because that was what we had for everybody.
I think that makes sense.
I'm not necessarily, I'm just,
I just pulled the number because that was our limits.
so if we're
That-
putting a term on though, do we have to put like a start date of when this grievance committee has to be established?
Should be established in January of a general election year, right?
I wouldn't.
Do we have elections every 2 years?
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. I wouldn't either. I'd rather leave it out.
Alright,
I'd rather leave that language out.
Is there a general provision that a board member sits for a limited period of time?
Depending on the board. Like, I'm on the Disability Commission, okay, we're appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the city council. The first time you're ever appointed, and this is done by, chapter 40, section 8J of the Massachusetts General Law, that governs the terms for the, Disability Commission in state law. The first time you're appointed, it's, your term is either 1, 2, or 3 years at the discretion of the appointing authority. If you're appointed a second time, regardless of what your term was for your original appointment, once you're appointed a second time, all succeeding terms are for 3 years.
3 years.
But every board and commission, I think, or most, are governed by some general law in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I think that people have to be reappointed,
They do.
and I thought it was a 2-year term.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
agree.
So 2-year term, registered voter, resident of Fall River. Blah, 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 3-term, 2-year term. I think that they should be able to somewhat meet and once they get the notice, right? Like, there should be a form at the city clerk that says charter grievance form, your name, what you think they're violating, and you send it in, and then the city clerk says, hey, I got a complaint. But I mean, I don't think all that needs to be there, but I think there needs to be some kind of procedure for it. I mean,
Absolutely.
and then I think that when they get together, you know, I mean,
Well, I would think that committee, grievance committee, would establish the appropriate
the
procedures.
appropriate
I
procedures.
think it would be inappropriate for us to
Yeah,
include that.
I don't.
But
think
but we have to put in there that, you know, how are they getting their complaints? Right. We have to put something in there that upon receiving a written complaint,
They shall establish procedures of
Right.
following them.
so maybe we should put in there after 2-year term, upon receiving a written complaint of an alleged charter violation, within 7 to 10 days, they should meet and greet.
Well, I think
I mean-
saying they should meet in 7 to 10 days is overreaching.
All right.
It should, within 7 to 14 days, they should establish a date to meet.
Upon receiving the written
Right.
violation.
Would you not agree that all this charter grievance committee, all their meetings should be public?
Right. So upon
And
receiving,
there's also an indication that there's public comment
Right.
at each of these.
so upon
Yeah,
receiving a written complaint alleging a charter violation,
Do you like a term in that?
they should,
I don't know how I-
what was it again? Within 7 to 10 days, meet?
they should establish a meeting date.
A meeting date shall be established within 7 to 10 days. I mean, I suppose I could say, well, it's August, or rather, it's April 8th, I want to meet on August 8th.
I actually think that if we're talking about having a meeting with public comment, I think they should have 30 days to do that. I think once this committee gets their written complaint,
30
they're gonna have to call each other and say, hey, what day are you good? What day are you
Right.
good?
And within a
Hey,
month-
city clerk, we need a room. When and where can we meet? Call everybody back. We can only meet this day. I just think it would take 30 days really to kind of do that.
Within 30 days sounds reasonable.
Because trust me, the rooms fill up and,
Getting a quorum becomes an issue, although I hope it wouldn't be an issue that much with 3, because you'd only need 2 to meet.
well, they're gonna be able to decide what they wanna do, right?
But a quorum for a public meeting with 3 members, a quorum is 2. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I hear what you're saying, so it would only be 2 of them. So upon receiving a written complaint alleging a charter violation, a meeting date should be set within 30 days, with that 3-member panel, right?
So, you want me to read what I,
Yes,
and then we
yes,
can kind of
please.
go from there? Okay, so I have section B, in order to promote enforcement of the charter provisions, a 3-member grievance committee shall be established. 1 member of this committee shall be appointed by the mayor, 1 by the city council, and 1 by the school committee. All appointed members shall serve for a 2-year term and must be registered voters and residents of the city. Within 7 to 10 business days upon receiving a written complaint of an alleged charter violation, the committee shall schedule a meeting date not more than 30 days from receiving such complaint to discuss such violation. At each meeting, there shall be opportunity for public comment, and the committee shall produce a written report concerning each alleged charter violation.
Beautiful.
Sounds great to me. Is that a motion?
If I have to, yes, it's a motion, so I have to read it again.
Paul seconds it. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then,
That's a
is C
That's a
the
unanimous.
penalty part, or does the grievance committee decide any penalties?
I think the grievance committee ought to.
Yeah.
Or do we just put in C, penalties can be a public reprimand and
I-
up to
I
a
don't-
$1,000 fine? I mean, don't you,
No,
you have to give some kind of notice for a penalty.
I
So I
don't
think it has to be in the charter,
I
no?
don't think we should put any penalties in the charter.
Well, we can't not. There has to be a notice provision, trust me on that one. There's gotta be a notice provision. Penalties can range from a public, you know, a written reprimand up to a $1,000 fine. You have to have notice in here of a
Who's
But you
gonna
penalty.
don't know what
determine-
the violation's gonna
Yeah, who's
be.
gonna
No,
determine
all
what
I'm
that-
saying, all I'm saying is that if you are gonna have a penalty, that there has to be notice for the penalty.
Right.
Okay, but who determines?
What are you relying on to say that?
You don't know it's a crime unless the law is written that the crime is this. There's always notices because it's a penalty. It's either gonna hit you in the pocket or, you know, publicly, you know, chastise you. There should be a penalty. And one of the
Well-
number one public input grievances were, there's no bite to this charter. Where are the penalties for violating it? And the answer always is, there's none.
But there's gotta be some statute or something that defines what penalties can be imposed.
Cause then you can just arbitrarily choose a penalty, well, someone can, I don't know who that
Well,
would be.
even
I
like,
ju-
so
I
if you
just-
do, so let's say it's a city agency that's in violation, how are you gonna fine them $1,000?
Well, the grievance committee, I mean, is doling it out. All I'm saying is that we give them a big enough
Or
range,
give
they can
them
do
the
really
right
what
to
they
decide
want.
What the penalty is.
I think we may wanna, at some point, establish a penalty, but I think we need to do some research to determine whether or not, what penalties are available.
Yeah.
Or do we leave it open for the grievance committee, you know, to say penalties?
Well, because I think it needs to be in the charter that the penalty needs to be in our city law, because the
Okay, but I
charter's
think
our
we need
city
to do
law.
some-
I'm just
I think
thinking
we
that,
need to do
no,
some research,
all
maybe
right.
ask Corporation Council.
yeah, alrighty. So I
We'll
would
leave that for.
leave
table
C
that.
kinda open, and then D is the, public record, so we're fine, we just have to research C, the penalty portion of this, right?
Yep.
Or do we add something about this grievance committee being able to establish their own operating procedures? Or do we leave that out?
Well, we can add that after we find out
What the penalty phase
what the
is?
laws state.
Because especially if they change every 2 years, I mean, like,
Right.
you might get one.
That was all I had for notes. Is there anybody else that has notes on areas they wanna review? That was my little note thing.
We talked about this
All right, I gotta
three
read,
or four times. I'm gonna try one more time. In elections, signatures for elected office.
we are at 100 now.
I'm gonna try one more time.
Go ahead.
To go down to 50 for each office.
I'm gonna second your motion, Dan.
We talked about this on the radio.
We did?
We talked about this a number of places,
I know.
and,
I'm with you, I'm seconding it.
But no, wait, we already dropped it, it was originally what, 250?
no, it was three,
It was different, it was 301 locations
it
and
was.
150.
It was 50 in the former charter. Then with this new charter, it went from 50 to 300 for mayor, from 50 to 150
To
for
100.
city council, and from 50 to 150 for school committee. We brought it down to 100,
We
Yeah.
did.
Yep.
but
For every office, which is the same that's required for state office.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, we
I
did,
think we
we
based it on the state, right?
Correct. That's
Yes.
correct.
we did. I'm seconding Dan's motion for 50.
there's been a lot of public discussion on radio. I've gotten a lot of calls on this. 50 worked well before the passage of the old charter?
Yeah, it used to be 50. It used to be very low, and the ballot was full of names, and
Yeah.
I liked that, and that's why I've changed my position on that, because I voted for the 100, and I was part of that discussion to keep it across the board, and
Well,
then, and.
that-
and
But what's the
it just-
rationale for 50 then?
It,
I'm
it,
just
it
saying for
encourages,
100, we can cite it that we're aligning to the state.
There doesn't have to be a rationale for everything that we do. It's just like,
I just think it encourages more participation. I have reversed my position on it because I think that it encourages more people. Each nomination sheet has 20 spots on it. And when you get your signatures, you've usually got to get double that, because if they can't read it, it doesn't qualify. Some people from Tiverton will sign a Fall River one, they don't even live, like, people see it, you know, and so you have to get double that. And so if you have to get 50, you really have to fill out, you gotta get 100, because
what-
half never qualify as valid. And I like the idea of anybody being able to run.
quite frankly,
I'm with it.
the time for getting signatures is, and I'm not I don't even know if we have the ability to change that time frame. I'm not suggesting we do. A lot of those election time frames are set by state law and election law, that's fine. But the time for getting signatures is relatively short. So if you have to get 100, you should conceivably at least get 300 to 400. That's my opinion, based on having run for office, based on having been involved in different aspects of elections. You can't go in there with 110, 105, because you ain't getting on the ballot.
Yeah, it is time consuming. I mean, right now, there's 2 preliminaries today, Somerset and Swansea, right?
Today?
Westport, yeah. And so most people running for this November election are standing outside all those voting places getting their votes. If you run for state office, your campaign committees are much larger. You're running for state, meaning that you probably have 20 to 50 volunteers who are all going out and working for you. Local elections are not afforded volunteers like that. You're lucky if you can get your mom, your dad, and your cousin to hold a sign for you sometimes, right? So I really thought about it, and local elections, your volunteer committee to elect Dan is much smaller than your committee to elect a state rep. And so that means that personally, you're out there getting all your signatures, and it is time consuming.
If you've ever tried to run,
It is,
it's not
is.
easy,
I'm with you, Dan, you convinced me, I seconded your motion.
yep.
Any further discussion? We'll put it to a vote. All in favor of making the 100 signatures 50? I'll start from my left. All in favor?
Yes.
Dan and Rena. All opposed?
Opposed?
I'm opposed, I wanna keep it at 100.
Opposed? Opposed, Trace?
Yeah,
Okay. Motion fails.
opposed.
Opposed.
Opposed. 4 opposed, 2 in favor.
I hear your concern.
And we did
I
reduce
know.
a lot.
I think the 300 was too much, I totally agree with
Yeah,
that.
but I think
thought it was
100 is the
preposterous.
fair.
You know,
Why should it be so much more than state?
well, and even then, maybe this is an opportunity for the next review to, if it is something where.
See what happens with
Yeah, because
the,
this is a big reduction, and not to say that it's not for the right reason, but at least we can say that we did it to follow,
state.
the state, how that's working now. And then if the next committee decides that, you know what, it would be good to add, to make it even easier, I would,
I think we have a long history of overcorrection, and I hesitate to make that same mistake.
Yeah.
All right, is there any other business? I mean, does anybody have any areas that they want to review? We have, to research penalties.
I
Our
have a
meetings
question.
are scheduled, and that seems to be the only section we need to really, research and look at. So, if that's all said and done, do I have a motion to
No, Tim
adjourn,
said
or is
you-
I have a
Tim has
question.
Okay, go
And
ahead.
it's
Sorry,
not-
I'm sorry.
No, it's not a big
Sorry, I
one.
didn't see you.
No, it's all right, it's not a big one either. I've been looking through this charter and I've noticed some inconsistencies with capitalization on,
Yeah,
and I know we had started this whole charter with discussions on that. And are we going to capitalize the mayor? Or is it going to be lowercase?
I know that we left grammatical,
The city I know, well, but
Right.
it's a little different with this particular
yeah,
one.
go ahead.
So I don't, or how it's being used in the charter, because mayor as the person and then mayor as the
A
job,
position,
the position, I think are two very distinct things and should be showcased throughout the charter one way or the other. So I just don't wanna go in,
I think it's the same for city council and
It-
school committee person too. I think capitalization is required when you're talking about the person.
well, the thing with the city council is it's going to be a city councilor or a member of the city council. And school committee would be school committee member or a member of the school, you know what I mean? So the
Right.
mayor is kind of an odd one because the mayor job and the mayor person are exactly the same wording. So I just wanna make sure that as I go through and edit this a little bit, that we're all clear on if mayor is going to be capitalized for the idea that it is the person and the job is lowercase, or,
And we did discuss.
we did.
Having our final finished project reviewed by like an English or grammar person, right? Didn't we discuss that in the beginning? I mean, we never asked for a dime. If the last charter review got 40 grand, what's a few hundred to have a grammar professor review it? You know what I mean? Like,
Didn't
I-
you say you
I-
had someone?
yeah.
That we have some graduate students that might be able to do this, they're professional writing
yeah,
students, so I could, but our time is running out because semester ends in
Yeah.
the end of the month.
oh,
So, I
okay.
mean, I could
Yeah.
ask for names if
Yeah.
they work in the summer or things like
Yeah,
that.
I do. I think, not that you guys wouldn't be able to do it, but I know that we discussed having it just reviewed for syntax, grammar, and that issue. Cause who would know better where you call it mayor or mayor, right?
Well,
Cause it's always in the context of the,
I don't think it's necessarily
Use.
that. I think it's just the way it is in here. There's some sections where it is and it's not and it should be. So
Right.
if everyone's okay, I will go through it and make those corrections.
I think that's perfect.
And certainly if we do wanna have a review later, that is 100% fine.
Right.
But I just don't wanna start making little changes
Right.
and then it kinda throws them.
Like, I always thought City of Fall River should be all caps in all areas. I mean, but that's just how I would use it. But then again, there's times where,
The city is not the city, it's a city,
correct,
yes.
so I
So
get it.
I can definitely go through that. I did notice it a few times and I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure if we want to, now that we've gotten to this point, it's a perfect time to go through it and start making these
I
little,
think so.
you know, and, I'm
But we
happy to
gave
do
you
that.
guys that artistic discretion.
Yes.
We
I just wanna
voted
I just wanna,
very
it's been a
early
long time.
on
It's been a
that
long
you
time.
guys were gonna have some artistic discretion
Okay,
with that stuff.
all right, that's all I wanted to know.
When is the next meeting and what is the,
That's a good question, Dan.
purpose thereof?
22nd.
Does somebody have, is it April 22nd? So if we can meet April 22nd, it'll just be on the limited penalty portion of the grievance committee paragraph, small c.
So, in theory,
Unless you're gonna raise that motion again about 50 versus 100.
in theory, we have 3 members absent today.
Mm-hmm,
They may have something they wanna review.
I'll check with them.
And I gave you I'm not here on the 22nd.
Right, so I think I'll limit the agenda on the second just to penalties,
Yeah.
because, why not? Right? unless somebody emails me, an email will go out, Corporation Council said we don't have to publish in the newspaper public hearings for this. And that's why I reserved the room through July. Because all we have to do is, I just do an agenda, they post it like they post it, and it's just really it's only public comment, because the finished document will be there. And so, that was my reasoning for scheduling all the way out through July, because I wanted the room, and it fills up quick. All right?
We have to post the full version of the charter for which the public,
Yes,
which the public hearing is being created,
yes,
correct?
yes. Corporation Council seems to think that we've already complied with that,
Well, we
which was
have-
my position early on.
We have, except the document changes at every,
Correct. Correct.
so what I'm saying is, before we schedule, before the public hearings, we would have to post on the website somewhere, I'm not saying the newspaper.
Nope, I just have to pass in
But-
an
but-
agenda, that's it, that's all it is. All I have to do is come up with an agenda for the public hearing, give it to the clerk, and gets posted no differently than the 25 previous meetings we've had.
No, right, I get that.
Yeah.
But how does the public know or see?
The same way they know about this, that's it, that's the only requirement we have. I send IT every version of this, they have them all on the special charter review. I don't go on our page, so I don't know, but I know that I send it to them regularly.
Because if we're asking people to come to a public hearing to comment on a document, they gotta be able to access it.
It's on the website. And it'll be on the website. Next week is just on the penalty. That's all next week, that's all that's on the agenda next week, unless something pressing comes up. The only thing on the agenda next week is gonna be April 8th minutes. It'll be, the same thing, April 8th minutes and penalty portion of the charter.
Suppose one of the three members that's not here wants to raise one, but
They don't. My understanding is everybody loves this new and improved. They appreciate all the hard work we've done. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.